Shalom and good day all. This is Tehillim29 back again for another Future State Fool's Gold review. And in this one we are covering Nightwing and Green Lantern. As you can see, we've got two different prices here, to which the first one is at $7.15 Australian when it's converted, and the other one is $10.75 when it's converted. I'll be rating the cover, the art and the story, and how much I think they're worth. So, let's get started on Nightwing first. So, looking at the cover, did the cover in any way help what was happening within the story? Yes, it did. And for that, I gave the cover a rating of 7 out of 10. To which I believe it was worth $1.50. Now let's move into the internal art. This is some art at the beginning. I'll now move to the middle. This is the art around the middle. I'll now cover the end. And this is the art around the end. I must admit, I really did enjoy this art, and I really think this art worked with the story. To which I gave the art 8 out of 10. To which I believe the story is worth, or to which I believe the art is worth $1.90. Great job to the artist here, and also to the writer, who sent the scripting to the artist. So I'm going to move on to the story. Now, as we jump into the story, this takes place in Gotham, and it's where Arkham Asylum was, but it's now inhabited by Dick Grayson, who has been introduced to Tim Jason Fox, who is taking the role of fake Batman. He really needs a new identity, and I refuse to call him Batman. But if it's one thing that I want to bring out in this story, especially with the cast of characters that we meet, of course we see members of the Bat family that are a part of the Resistance, Nightwing himself, and Peacekeeper number 6, to which you do get to see a bit of a fight with. I really enjoyed how the cast of characters were presented in this, and if it's one thing about this writer, they have really captured the compassionate side of Dick Grayson. To which I give the story an 8 out of 10, giving a overall total of $5.30 in Australian dollars. Now, that's pretty good because it makes up more than half than what it was actually worth. Brilliant job here to who worked on this. Thank you very much. As we now move on to Green Lantern, does this cover help with any of the stories that are actually in this? To be honest, it does. To which I gave the cover 6 out of 10, as it's in relation to the third story in this, but I'll get to the third story in due time. Until then, I got a cover in relation to the first story, which is at the beginning of the book, done by Jeffrey Fawn. So, time to move on to the internal art for this story. Now, if it's one thing I'll say about this art, it did have areas of inconsistency once again, but it also had rare areas of consistency. The hardest thing was actually trying to make out who the cast was with the art. because who the fuck is everyone? Of course, we got Jon Stewart, but I felt in this, along with Jeffrey Thorne's storytelling, it really sort of failed. So I'm going to give you the overall rating for this first story. For the art, I gave it 5 out of 10, to which I believe it was $1. For the story, as you know, anyone who watches my Fool's Gold and also watches my other comic reviews, plus manga, plus whatever else I cover on the channel, there are certain things that I like to look out for. But in this case, I'm keeping it a little bit more simpler, but just for this alone, or just for the future state alone. And that is the cast of characters. So, do we know who they are? About the only one I could recognise was Jon Stewart. I got no idea who the rest of the fucking characters are, and I felt no attachment to them. I believe there was an appearance of Orion, but that's as far as it sort of went with it. But it didn't feel like the Orion that is known in Jack Kirby's Fourth World. And it pretty much played upon the idea of, say, Jon Stewart becoming like the equivalent of King Arthur in the story. Whilst there's a brooding war that's happening all in between all this shit. The location, still no idea where the fuck we are in the galaxy. I thought it might have been Apocalypse at first, but nope. No bloody signature of where it is. And this is where that story fails, and it really hits the score right between the eyes. 0 out of 10, which means $0 and 0 cents. Time to move on to the second story. This one I was surprised with. Moving into the second story, as you can see within the artwork, this was actually really well done and really well written. And I appreciate that for the person who actually worked on this story. So, looking at this art, this is some art at the beginning. I'll show you some art towards the middle and end. Here is some art around the middle. Now, I'll find a really good picture that I really enjoyed in this towards the end. Alright, and this is towards the end. Why do I like this? Because it's actually nice to see this character being, in a way, set in a very vulnerable position because of what they actually have here. And I thought that was very well drawn and even very well added into the story. To which I gave the art 7 out of 10. The story? Where does this take place? The location is Oa. The cast of characters dealing with Mogo and Callie Quintella. I want to say something. I really enjoyed this interpretation of Patrick Gleason's creation. Not Brian Michael Bendis's, Patrick Gleason's. I'm giving credit where it's due, not where it's not due. And it was nice to see this character go through some tests and trials, even with the Green Lantern gear that she is wearing. And I thought that was really smart and clever in this story. And it didn't make her in any way come off like a Mary Sue. I appreciate that you have added something that needed to be added there. You've retconned some stuff to make it work better, and I appreciate that, to which I gave the story 7 out of 10. Now to move on to the last story. Now, you remember that cover that you saw there? Well, that cover is related to this picture, to which I rated the cover 6 out of 10 in relation to the story. And I believe the cover is worth $1.25, and that's because of this being put into the picture. Well, not this overall, but something from this story that was placed into the picture. As for the art, it was very consistent all the way through. This is some at the beginning. I'll show you some towards the end. Absolutely incredible, especially with the space scene here. And if you really want to pick up some more Robert Venditti, you might want to check out Freedom Fighters. Another thing that he also wrote was Hawkman. Go check that out. You'll enjoy it. You'll love it. And the art in this felt very consistent. Along with the story, you could see the characters' interactions. You could see the emotion within the character. To which I gave the art 7 out of 10, to which I believe it was worth $1.50. Last but not least is the story. Now, looking to the story, we've got, of course, one of the locations that are pointed out, and that is Earth. And you see this character travel through space, or you see Hal travel through space. He does encounter the Sinestro Corp, so it almost feels like brushing over some of Hal's history here. And I really enjoyed that, because it's been a while since I picked up some Green Lantern. So, thank you very much, Robert Venditti. You deserve the thanks. And for the story, I gave it 7 out of 10, to which I believe it was worth $1.50. Now, the overall total for the first story is $1. The overall total for the second story is $3. And the overall story for the third story is $4.25. Well, until then, please don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let's keep it colourful. If you've now made it to the end of the video, have an awesome day.